Hello there everybody, it is me XfreezerBunny and welcome back to another speed build. So today we are doing a little bit more of a creative build. We are doing another yacht build here in Tulani, and this time we are doing a vintage yacht. So first of all, happy October everyone. Is it too late to do a summer themed build? Maybe it is. I keep asking myself that question because this build was actually originally supposed to go up last month. I did start building this last month, but you know, things happened and I didn't finish it on time as usual. But you know, shout out to all of you guys living in the southern hemisphere, right? I still can't wrap my head around the fact that, you know, some of you in the southern hemisphere is going to be experiencing summertime really soon, because where I'm from in the northern hemisphere, we're starting to get cold weather actually, so it's really interesting. I think the world works in mysterious ways, if I do say so myself. That's a weird thing to say at the very start of this video, but we are back in Tulani, and surprisingly, considering how many houseboat builds I've done already, this is actually the very first one I'm doing in Tulani itself, because the last yacht I built was actually before Island Living came out. So that build I did last year actually has two versions. There's a version I did in Windenburg, and then there's a version I renovated in Sulani, where it became like an actual, you know, beach houseboat, if that makes any sense. So if you're interested to see another more modern looking yacht, I would highly recommend you check out that video as well. But today I discovered this technique where I basically rotated one of these futuristic capsule beds using the tool mod, and it looks pretty convincing as the bottom part of a boat. So I did that, and at this point I was kind of experimenting with this build. I still hadn't made up my mind if I wanted to make this a legit build or not, but I was just playing around and I actually am pretty happy with the results. A lot of the techniques I'm using in this build wouldn't be possible without the use of the tool mod, so as per usual I will link that in the description below. It's not a requirement for you to download this, you don't really need any CC for this. But if you want to be a little bit more creative when it comes to placing items, I highly suggest you check out the tool mod, because it can be a little bit tricky at first, but it opens up so many possibilities, and I'm so happy that we finally have it. I would have to say that the tool mod and the red shelf are two of my most used mods. Also Reshade. I don't use Reshade for building anymore, but when it comes to showcasing builds and taking screenshots, I almost never take screenshots or videos of my builds without Reshade, just because Reshade makes the game look so good. I don't think it's a mod. Yeah, I wouldn't consider it a mod, but you know, it's one of those things that I just can't live without now that I have it in my life. But anyway, I'm getting carried away. Back to the build. This is the first build I am using the Star Wars pack, and if you don't have it, it really doesn't take away too much for the builds, because I think I only used some crates. That pack came with so many crates. I also used some lights and some plants. Gotta say, as much as I am pretty indifferent when it comes to the Star Wars pack, I did really like some of the plants that came with it. But you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and say, having seen other people's builds, I'm a little bit tempted to do a spaceship build. My good friends Improved made this amazing spaceship build, and I'm almost tempted to make one myself. So we'll see in the next couple of days or weeks if that comes to fruition. But yeah, we are already in October. It's spooky season, and here I am building a summer themed build. For those of you who are already quite familiar with the channel, you already probably know that we don't do seasonal builds over here. Well, I say that, but I'm also planning to do like a spooky Halloween themed build as well. So we'll see if that also comes to fruition eventually. But Right now, I am using the tool mod to basically manipulate these pieces into place, and I'm trying to make it look like that, I don't know what part of a ship that is. Those like ballasts? I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm not a maritime architect. That's a real thing, by the way, that I learned when I was in college. There's like, what's an architect called if they're doing like maritime engineering or something? I don't know, I'm sorry. But yeah, I'm trying to do this thing where I'm making it look like there's these lights that are hanging around the roof of this yacht, and it looks pretty cool. Kind of looks like a sailboat. I love the lights, by the way. They look really good at night. We'll go back to that eventually later on in this build. I will replace some of the wooden pieces I put there with some actual like metal looking posts. And yeah, here I'm just incorporating some detail. One thing that really annoyed me though building this is that on the second floor of that curved balcony right there, you can't put freeze. I don't know why it doesn't make me put a freeze, but I tried everything. It just doesn't want me to basically do whatever I wanted with this build. Yeah, the game has so many bugs like that, which is kind of annoying. But you know, it's The Sims 4, what do you expect? But yeah, this build ended up having 3 bedrooms. All of them have double beds. The 2 bedrooms have basically like an identical layout. One thing that I'm very proud of in this build is the interior. I'm so happy with how this interior turned out. I am particularly pleased with all of the ceiling work that I did here. It doesn't look like much, but it took me forever to figure out the look that I wanted. Obviously, with, you know, yachts, you have to have this streamline element to the design to it, and I don't know, I just wanted to capture that streamlined aspect of it, and I also wanted to make this feel a little bit more vintage, if that makes sense, because I just wanted to capture that glamour. This was the time when I was also working on my Hollywood Regency build, which was uploaded last month. I basically made these 2 back to back, but it did take me forever to edit this build. I would have liked to put this sometime this weekend, but unfortunately this is probably coming up on a Monday or Tuesday because I really didn't have time to finish. I spent all of the weekend editing all of the footage, by the way, and it took me forever because I had way too much footage of me just scrolling through all of the items in debug and also experimenting different things to make the tool mod do, because sometimes, you know, objects work with the tool mod and sometimes they don't, so it's a lot of trial and error. That being said, let's talk about the interior. Now, the interior at first looks very dark because I did use a lot of dark woods, but I did eventually change up the color scheme a little bit. Those couches right there, I will change them into white, and then the floor I will change into a lighter color. One thing that I'm really proud of in this interior, and probably my favorite part, is this control area. I want to say it's a control room, but it really isn't. It's basically like this control area where you're supposed to, like, you know, manage the ship or drive a ship. Do you drive a ship? I don't know. You know what, my dad works as a mariner and I should really talk to him about this, but you know, we do things pretty spontaneously. here on the channel, as you might have already guessed. But yeah, I tried my best to capture this modern, vintage, functional space, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. You can see all of these little details that I'm doing using the tool mod, and it makes everything look so authentic. I'm so happy with this control area. I gotta say, it's probably my favorite part of this build, even though it's not the most functional one. Of course, since this is a vintage build, I had to use these chunky TVs. I imagine this is like a radar autopilot system. Do boats have autopilot? I don't know. I really have no idea about the maritime history of when boats had certain features. This one, I didn't really had a time period for, like it could be mid-century or like an 80s looking boat. I really don't know. I hope I captured that vibe at least. You know, if you guys have any ideas on how I can make, you know, more accurate boats or yachts in the future, please let me know, because I definitely know that this isn't going to be my last yacht build. One thing that I do want to point out is that notice I changed those lounge chairs into the sofas, because I realized that the lounge chairs, when you put them together like using move objects, they actually don't work. So the sofas actually work. Yes, the Sims can sit on them, the Sims can nap on them, and all of that good stuff. So I wanted to make sure that that aspect of this build was functional at least. Also, whenever I edited this build, the microwave that I put on that counter cabinet kept disappearing, so I don't even know if it's gonna show up when I upload this build, because I think I placed it way too many times. For some reason, it just kept disappearing. So by the way, that sofa right there, it looks like a tight squeeze, but believe it or not, the Sim can actually fit in that sofa. Also, one other thing I want to point out that I really like in this whole great room area. Do ships have a great room? I really don't know. This is like the main common room area. I love that mirror on the kitchen, basically. It's the one from Eco Lifestyle, and I rotated it and it looks really good on its side actually. It has that like streamline element you would expect to see in a ship or a yacht. Also, you'll notice that these ceiling lights are actually like on an angle because I wanted them to look like they're part of the ceiling basically. I really like that, even though not a lot of people are probably gonna notice it. Whenever I do these builds with these ceiling details, a lot of people do point out that they find it really annoying to have to deal with the Sims, you know, putting stuff on the shelves. Honestly, I like the shelves because, you know, as someone who has real life experience working as an architect, I put a lot of, you know, emphasis on realism on my builds, and for me, having a plain white ceiling could be nice sometimes, but sometimes having a drop ceiling or like, you know, a cove lighting ceiling, you know, like it's just good to have different kinds of ceilings in my opinion, and I really enjoy the look of having a detailed ceiling. What you gotta do? You can't take the architect out of the man. You can't take the architect out of the simmer, I should say, right? Wink wink, nudge nudge. But right now we're actually working on the master bedroom, and I really love this room. It's so cramped, but I feel like it's a pretty realistic looking room for a yacht. I particularly love the painting I chose just over the bed. It's actually a painting that I don't think I've ever used before, but it's a beautiful coral reef painting. So stunning. I really love that. I think it gives the master bedroom a little bit more of color and life. Also, here I am being my usual indecisive self, so I did change the colors because I did notice that in a lot of the yachts that I looked at as reference images, they didn't have matching wood all throughout, like the floors didn't match the wood on the wall. So I found that really interesting because my initial assessment was that all of the woods would have matched, but they didn't. But you know, this is the main bathroom. This build also ended up having 3 bathrooms. Each bedroom has their own bathroom. This one is the only one that has a bathtub. Once again, it looks really cramped, but surprisingly, it really works. That's one thing that I really like about The Sims 4 is that The Sims do have, or like it appears to me, that The Sims do have a much broader collision threshold, so they don't get blocked by objects as easily as, say, you know, Sims 3 does. Because Sims 3, even if you put like an object like a meter away, it will still block the Sims path. So yeah, I really like that about The Sims 4. Initially for these bedrooms right here, I used single beds, but honestly, a lot of the single beds don't have good swatches. Let's face it, that's my honest opinion. I would have liked to have some single beds that had a plain swatch, to be honest, but oh my goodness, the beds that came with University were so perfect for this, but the swatches that they came with were just so limiting. I hate to be that guy who always keeps complaining, by the way, but you know, that's my constructive criticism. But yeah, these rooms basically are pretty much identical. They used the exact same bed as the master bedroom because I thought these were the ones that worked the most for the look that I was going for. And I didn't include the footage of me furnishing the bathrooms because they're pretty straightforward, nothing too interesting happening there. And now we're actually working on the outside, which I actually really like. I feel like when you live in a houseboat like this, you would definitely be spending so much time, you know, gallivanting around the world, exploring exotic areas. You know what? I could definitely see like an Indiana Jones type character living here. Is it period appropriate? I don't know. You know what? I love watching period dramas. I could never tell like what period this houseboat would be in. There is one show on Netflix. I think it's called High Seas. Is it a Spanish like show that takes place on a yacht? I have recently watched Gran Hotel, which is another Spanish series that has been recommended to me so much, and I finally started watching it this year. It's a pretty long series. It's like 3 seasons. I'm currently on season 3. I mean, ever since lockdown started, I just binged watch a lot of the series on my list because I had way more free time now that I can work from home. So yeah, I did start watching that series. Yeah, I really enjoy it so far. I love the mystery aspect, and of course it's a period drama. I am a sucker for period drama, you guys. But yeah, let's get back into the build before I get carried away. For the upper deck, there is a hot tub. I'm not sure if vintage houseboats can accommodate a hot tub because of the structural limitations, but I put one there. And also another detail that I really liked are these slanted windows, which was kind of a last minute addition, but I really like them. I have been facing this dilemma for a couple of days now, and I posted about this on Twitter, and to be honest, I'm gonna keep them the way they are. If you don't like the open, you know, interior basically because of these windows, you can grab them in build by mode and you can place them again, and it'll take away the slant aspect that I did using the tool mod. So this boat also has a little platform that you can walk up to it, obviously because the Sims wouldn't swim onto the boat itself. Can I just take a second to appreciate the technical achievements that houseboats were for The Sims 3? Like, just wow. The fact that they can make full-on residential house be movable in the ocean, and literally you can take it wherever you want in the world as long as the water's deep enough is such an amazing technical achievement for The Sims 3. Kudos to the team for executing Sims 3 houseboats. They were so amazing. But here we do have a little shed. There's just a little, you know, bench over here, and those lights are from the Star Wars pack. They were really nice. They look very vintage. It's not a huge loss if you don't have the Star Wars pack. Those are the only items I used, and the plant and some crates as well. But I think this is actually going to be it for this build. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I'm so excited to give you guys more builds in the future, but for now, that's going to be it. Thank you so much for watching. You all have an awesome day. Enjoy the rest of the video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.